Hello and greetings. This is Corey from the Box Scholar YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me today. In this video, I'm going to talk about memorization and should you memorize or should you not memorize, and why I have quit memorizing my performances on YouTube, at least over the last several years. So back in 2008, when I began uploading YouTube videos, by the way, it was 2006 that I acquired this 1929 Steinway Model L. And so I had this beautiful piano, and this was before YouTube even came around. This was 2006. This would have been right when they were making the first YouTube videos. So I started watching YouTube videos around 2006, 2007, in those years. And then I jumped on board in 2008 and began making my own YouTube videos. And during those early years, from about 2008 to 2013, personally, let me tell you my story and tell you why I memorized everything. Well, first of all, I'm very good at memorizing things. So my memory comes pretty easy for me, actually, or it always has in the past. So memory is not something that I struggled with necessarily, but it does take time. So memorizing music, especially music that's brand new that you haven't played before, does take time. And it takes extra time to memorize as opposed to if you just read the music. So I do admit that. But in those early years, about the first 5 years of YouTube, you know, I was self-conscious. I wanted people to approve of me. I wanted to be great. I wanted people to think my performances were great. And I wanted to set the standards high. So the usual thing to do in classical piano playing is to memorize your music. And so I memorized everything. I never read any piece of music. I memorized everything. I made it a #1 priority to memorize the music and to never make any mistakes so people would think I'm great. Believe me, it's not an easy thing to do. I've toiled and toiled many long and hard hours on many of my recordings. I don't think I've ever made a recording on the first take. I really don't think I have. It's maybe one time, maybe. I think, you know, in those early years, I was such a perfectionist that I would often play the piece 20 times before I was satisfied. Or I would get through it 5 times and I would always get stuck in one measure or something like that. So it's not an easy thing to do. I know I make it look easy. It looks like I just sat down and played it easily, whipped it off, and it was memorized and it was easy. It wasn't easy. I put a lot of time into these performances, even though I am a good memorizer. I admit that. I'm also a great reader. I'm a great sight reader, and I read music very well. So then why did I quit memorizing? Well, about several years ago, about 5 or 6 years ago, I decided, especially when I was developing and beginning the Well-Rounded Pianist, my subscription website, I began making tutorials every week, lots of tutorials for my subscribers. And as I began being more preoccupied with making tutorials and that sort of thing, I thought, well, why am I spending all my time trying to memorize everything? It takes so much time to do that. I thought, if I can just subtract that time and use that time for making tutorials for like the Well-Rounded Pianist and to do other things, like, you know, I do have a life outside of music, then that's a good thing. So I decided back about, I don't know, it must have been probably around 2016, 2017, I decided, well, I'm just going to stop memorizing music. I'm just going to play it with the sheet music up, and so what? I don't care what people think about me anymore. I'm 60 now, so I'm a little older, I'm a little wiser, and I don't really care what people think about me. I don't care. They can say anything they want. So I guess when you're younger, you're more self-conscious, or, when I first entered the YouTube platform, I wanted to be perfect. And now I don't really care anymore. It's really just a matter of how the music sounds rather than whether it's memorized or not. So I and any piano teacher worth anything would tell you they would much rather hear a great performance with music, reading the music, rather than a not so great performance memorized. It's always that way. And so my focus now is the music. It's not whether it's memorized or not, but it's the music. And I think my interpretations are getting better, actually, in my older years. So, should you memorize music? Now, I've totally given up memorizing music. If I wanted to, I could, but it would take extra time. Also another thing, I forgot to throw this in, but those early years in YouTube, I was single. Okay, I was single. I was divorced. I did not have any kids. I don't have any of my own biological children. I didn't have anyone in my house other than cats. And all I did all day long was practice. I wasn't even fully employed. I was employed part-time with, say, 2 part-time jobs. I didn't have a full-time job. I was not fully employed. And so all I did was sit there and make YouTube videos all day long. I could get up at 4 in the morning and play the piano and not wake anybody up, because cats don't care about that sort of thing. So when I got married, that changed everything. Then I had a wife and some stepkids in the house, and I couldn't wake up at 4 in the morning anymore and practice. That's not a bad thing. I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying that as you go through life, you'll go through changes that will prohibit you from doing certain things that you did before. So I couldn't spend all hours of the day banging away on my piano trying to memorize things. I couldn't do that anymore. And so I thought, well, I need to just make this easier on myself. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to screw it. I'm not going to memorize anything anymore. I'm just going to use the music. It's going to save a whole lot of time on my part, so I can put my time into other things. And the music won't suffer either, because that's all that counts, is how the music sounds. It's not whether it's memorized or not. I think in those early years, I was just memorizing to impress people. I wanted people to think I was great, or, oh, look at his memory, he can do anything. But those recordings were very, very stressful for me. I don't think I ever made a recording on the first take. Many times it took me 10 or more takes. For various reasons, I had to redo them, and so I remember once I spent I must have spent 4 hours trying to record a 4-minute piece. This is just ridiculous. That doesn't necessarily have to do with memorization, but it just shows you that I was wasting my time. So I thought, in order to use my time more wisely, because I have more responsibilities now, I'm not going to memorize my music anymore. Now, should you memorize your music? Yes, you should. As a piano student, you should work on memorizing your music. Memorizing is very important. Now, but it's not the end all. Here's the catch. Do not memorize music as a crutch because you can't read music. That's what I see all the time. I see pianists, they can't read music very well, and so they memorize it so they never have to look at the music anymore. Don't be one of those people. You need to work on your reading skills. You need to work on your sight reading skills and your reading skills. Remember, sight reading and reading are different. Sight reading is the very first time you see something. Reading is when you've seen it before. So, for example, I just recorded 2 Mendelssohn songs without words in the past couple days. Back like 12, 13 years ago or so, I had them uploaded to YouTube, perfectly memorized. And when I recently recorded these, like yesterday and today, I used the music. And the reason why is because I know these pieces so well, I can basically just sit down and play them from beginning to end, or the ones that I recorded. I can play from beginning to end, looking at the music with virtually no mistakes. I mean, this is how well I know these pieces. And so I think that in this case, I would have been wasting my time trying to memorize these. All I wanted to do was just play these pieces. I didn't want to have to spend all this time memorizing them. But for you as a piano student, this exercises your memory muscles. So not only does it exercise your memory muscles, but it gets your eyes off the page and onto your hands. So if you have music memorized, you look at your hands. If you don't have music memorized, if you're using the music, your eyes go here. So I sometimes am under the impression that some students think that you should never have your eyes on your hands. But that's only if you're reading the music. If you don't have any music in front of you and it's memorized, your eyes should be on your hands, or maybe somewhere else, maybe looking up into the sky or something. So yes, you should definitely work on memorizing your music, but it's not an end all. You need to learn to memorize and read music. And I am a great memorizer and I am a great reader. I can do both of these things equally well. And so you need to work on doing these things equally well. You need to work on your memory and work on your note reading. So I've put in my dues. I've done my work. I've put in a good 5 or 6 years of uploading thousands of videos only memorized on YouTube. I've put in my dues. You have to put in your dues too. So put in your dues, get down to work on memorizing your music, but that's not the end all, because you need to also work on reading your music. Memorize and read. You would be surprised how many pianists, even at the conservatory level, like professional level pianists studying music at the conservatory level, you would be amazed how many of those pianists are just absolutely crappy readers. You would be amazed. A lot of these pianists are just terrible readers because all they do is memorize their music all the time. That's a good thing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with memorizing, but you have to also work on reading your music. So that's my little speech for the day. I hope you got something out of this, and I hope that you're able to memorize all of your music and also become a better reader and a better sight reader. Of course, using my Sight Reading and Harmony book. So until we meet again, thank you for joining me.